good? What's poppin'? Welcome to another episode of that deep shit where we connect the dots. And on today's episode, we're gonna touch on the subject of ma'at, balance, and principles of gender. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and jump right in. You feel me? We ain't gonna pull no punches. You dig? So this topic actually was a requested topic, from someone in the comments. And when it was requested, I didn't really even think on really doing a topic on my eye. But sometimes, you know, the nature of the universe works out in the favor of certain things, and that's what I like to do. I like to let nature take its course and for the lessons to actually be organic. So when you get these videos from me, they're organic. You know what I'm saying? They're not just stuff I just feel like talking about. It's like as soon as I get it, I spit it, or for the most part it works like that. So let's go ahead and jump right into the topic of Ma'at. And for those who don't know who Ma'at is an Egyptian deity that's over balance and law, the stars, the cosmos, and gender. Actually, the legal justice system symbol is kind of based off of Ma'at. You know, the lady with the blindfold that has the scales. That is the rip-off or the knockoff version of what Ma'at is. You know, because she's all about law and balance. Okay, so in the Egyptian pantheon, Ma'at is known to have had 42 principles or 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. These confessions actually have been plagiarized by what you would want to call the 10 Commandments, is where they got that from. They got it from the 42 principles of Ma'at. Some say that there's more principles than 42, but I'll leave that for your research and for you to make the determination on that. So let me just go over a couple of things, couple of the confessions of Ma'at. Like one is, I have not committed a sin. I have not committed robbery or violence. I have not stolen. 4 is, I have not slain men or women. So basically the way that the confessions of Ma'at would work is, when you wake up, you're supposed to say something like, I will not commit a sin. 2, I will not commit robbery or violence. And then at the end of your day, before you go to sleep, you will say, I have not committed a sin. I have not committed robbery or violence. So this is kind of giving you the spectrum of putting forth the intention and then setting forth with the action and acknowledgement that you have not done these negative things. That's just part of the story of Ma'at. Ma'at was also known in the pantheon of, when your soul is being judged, you're led through the underworld by Anpu, Anubis, better known as Anubis, and you're brought in front of the scales. Ma'at sits on top of the scales that you're brought in front of. They actually take the feather from Ma'at's head, right? And they place it on one side of the scales. This is the story. They place it on one side of the scale, and then they put your heart on the other side of the scale. And your heart is weighed against Ma'at's feather. It should not be heavier than Ma'at's feather. Now that's a burden, you know what I'm saying? So basically, you shouldn't have heavy burdens on your heart. You got to let everything go, and that's how you go ahead and pass judgment in front of Osiris. That is the pantheon, the Egyptian pantheon, and Ma'at's role in such pantheon, right? Okay, so that's just the, you know, the storyline and the principle of what Ma'at represents. But that's not what this video per se is going to actually be about. It's not going to go into the history of Ma'at and all that, but it's also going to be about a real world application of what Ma'at is, and also the spiritual application of what Ma'at is. Because remember, when you're learning all of this stuff, you know, some people get stuck into the history of shit, the history of Egyptian stuff, and that's what they get stuck at. They don't actually go into the applications of what it actually is and how you're actually supposed to use this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why a lot of people, they think that You know, the Egyptians are pagans. They believe in multiple gods, and that's for the untrained mind. You know what I mean? It's not about the multiple gods. It's not about being a pagan. It's about principles. The gods that were worshipped in Egypt were principles. You know what I'm saying? Like the reason why it's quote unquote called a god is because it has rulership over an aspect of the physical realm. Principles. You know what I'm saying? No different than any other commandment or whatnot. It's just principles. But I'm sidebarring, not neither here nor there, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and continue. I'm gonna continue with a real world story of how I came into fully understanding my. So true story. So I'm at work. I'm driving, and I'm in the district in Oakland that's by Lake Merritt. If anybody knows anything about Oakland, you know where Lake Merritt is, you know where the lake is and all that. So there's a lot of business that's being conducted over there by the lake, right? A lot, you know what I mean? And anyone that knows the area knows that there's a lot of attractive young ladies, women. You know, they up there, they out there, they looking good. You know what I'm saying? For real. You know what I mean? So, I'm not gonna lie. I'm in traffic and I'm just like, damn, look at her, she bad. She bad. You know what I mean? So I'm like at the light, I'm just watching, you know, people walk through the crosswalk. I'm just like, damn, she hella bad. In lust, I ain't gonna lie, lusting hard. You know what I mean? And then at some point I'm at a light and I'm looking and you know, there's a lady who's very attractive, and mind you, there's all shades, ages, creeds, everything's in Oakland. If you know anything about the Bay Area, it's a melting pot. You know what I mean? And Aretians, you know what I'm saying? Just it's very international. You know what I mean? But anyways, I'm digressing. So I'm looking at this chick and she's bad, right? And I'm just like, wow, she's beautiful, you know? And then right next to her was this older lady, like, I don't know what she was. She was something. I'm not sure. She could have been like Greek or something. I don't know. I'm looking at the older lady after lusting at this at this young woman. I'm looking at the older lady and was just like, damn, you know, at some point that older lady, she was probably bad too. Just like her, just like the young girl. And I'm just like, she was probably bad in her own way. And at that moment, it clicked to me. Like it truly sunk in and clicked to me that all women are beautiful. All women are beautiful. You know what I mean? No matter age, race, creed, color, all of y'all are beautiful. And I just started to see the inner working of what women are. Like in all of y'all magnificence and all your greatness, I really started to understand how great all of y'all are. Even older women and elderly women, the elders, and just all of y'all, you guys are just magnificent creatures. Any creature that could bleed pints of blood every month and not die is an amazing specimen. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing though, right? So it made me realize that women have the potential to be queens or even goddesses. The potential is there. Not saying that every woman is a goddess or a queen, because they're not. We could watch Love and Hip Hop and realize that. But every woman has that potential. And then I noticed and realized at that moment, this is all at the light. All this is going through my head at the light. That the reason why we have a Love and Hip Hop type of female, and the reason why we have a potential goddess that's sitting on the corner, or a goddess that was once on her throne and now is pushing a cart and elderly, the reason why we have this is because it's the man's role This has to do with balance. It's the balance of Mayat. It's the man's role to put the woman on her throne. That's our role. You see, because, do me a favor, watch this. Put your hands out in front of you, right? Please, 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 come on. Put your hands out in front of you. Look at your hands. These are your hands. Look at your arm. That's your arm. You see? Like you are a soul that is inside of a shell of flesh. You are a spirit, a being that is inside of something, right? You can never see what you really look like. Yeah, if someone took a video of you or took a picture of you, you can see what you look like, but you don't know what your being actually looks like to someone else. All you can see is your arm and your body if you look at yourself in real time. But the reason why I bring that up is because when you're speaking of gender, women cannot see how great they are. From the ratchet women all the way to the potential goddesses, which they all are potential goddesses. But y'all can't see yourselves. So it is the opposite, the man version of the being, to show you yourself. We must show women themselves, to tell them how great and how glorious they are, to put them back on that throne. It's our job. Just as I realized how beautiful every woman was, I realized my responsibility to put every woman back on her throne. But in the same breath, it's also the woman's responsibility to observe man in his glory, in his splendor, and to let him know how great he is, and to put him on his throne, because he does not know how great he is. You see, taken away from man's egotistical, natural, over time, natural intent to rule over the world with muscle and might, the man does not understand what a spiritual being he is. And over time, men have become corrupt because of such egotistical, when I say ego, I'm talking about the ego of the mind, egotistical actions to be rulers. Now, as a sidebar, that egotistical mindset of becoming a ruler of the world was something that was introduced to us by foreigners. And I'll just leave that right there. All my real ones understand what I'm talking about. Now, it is both of our jobs to put each appropriate gender on our appropriate thrones. But this is just the physical aspect of Mayat. Okay? So I gave you the historical aspect. Now I'm giving you the physical aspect. Now we're going to get a little mental, spiritual with it. Now, gender, man and woman, is, yes, a physical gender. And this is why the natural order of man and woman must remain. I'm not knocking your preference of what you want to do. But if you look in nature, that's just how it is. This does this. That's just how it is. But we're going to move past the physical aspect, because I'm going to do a video on homosexuality. That's coming. Oh yeah, the metaphysics of homosexuality. Oh yeah, that's coming. Young Pharaoh touched on it, and he dropped some nice points. But I'm finna go hard. Anyhow. So, the mental spiritual aspect of the masculine principle and the feminine principle has nothing to do with sexuality or sexual preference or anything that's physical. The If you ever read The Kabbalion, which I highly recommend anyone at this point watching these videos to definitely read, it will give you a clearer understanding of how life works on the physical plane. All right, so yeah, I'm losing light. So I'm gonna try to speed through this as quick as possible. Everyone possesses masculine and feminine qualities or aspects of their being, and it has nothing to do with being gay or anything like that, or homosexual. They're just different aspects of the brain. So the left side of your brain is the more logical side of the brain. This is where calculations are stored, on the left side of the brain. Now, the right side of the brain is wired for more of artistic things, drawing, creativity, and things of that nature. Okay, but that's the brain, and the brain is the physical aspect. Now, when we're talking about the mind and the mental balance that has to take place in the mind, I'll give you an example. If the left side of your mind or brain, we're talking mind though, if the left side of your mind is responsible for calculations of logic, the calculations of logic cannot exist without the right side of the mind and it being creative to come up with a concept. I'll give you an example. The Wright brothers, quote unquote, had to, or the people who are quote unquote noted to have created the plane. Okay, so for them to create a plane, something that flies, they had to write out schematics and a plan to build the plane. Now this is logical. So much air under the wing will make the plane fly. This is logic. Okay, but there had to be a creative side for them to actually build the plane. So the first plane was probably very archaic and very rough and straightforward, but somewhere along the line, the right side of mental capacity has now turned a simple propeller based plane into a jet. So having the logic of knowing how planes work, someone had to have the creativity to be like, let's make planes fly faster. How will we do that? Let's make a jet. So having the creativity to think of what a jet is went all the way around in a full circle to, well, how do we make a jet? We must put turbine engines on it and make it more aerodynamic. Then you have to make another schematic of logic. Now think about this. So you have the schematic of logic of a jet, then that in turn turns into, let's fly outer space. How can we get outer space? This is all creative thinking. So now you're thinking about a space shuttle. Well, how do we make a space shuttle? Going back to the creative part of the mind. Well, we have to do this. X plus Y equals Z. You see how the marriage of masculine and feminine have to be in sync with each other. You have to have masculine and feminine aspects of the mind for even things to evolve. It has to happen. So when I say things that may ruffle some feathers about how nature is masculine and feminine, I'm not making it up. It's something that's observable. So, and that's one of the keys to starting to figure out things. Observe how nature works and apply what you observe to every level of what you think of, to every question that you have. Apply what you can actually prove observable in nature. And that is the true definition of balance, law, and mayat.